Welcome. Back in step 1, we asked the question, what is this thing called x? And we used the analogy that x was like a box that contains something, a bit like a box of Smarties that contains Smarties inside it. We used the word pronumeral and defined it as being a placeholder for a numeric value. So the pronumeral is like a container, and we built our first algebraic expressions by thinking about what would happen when we added these containers together. And we were able to make statements like 2a plus 3a is 5a. And then we reasoned that if we actually knew how many Smarties were inside the box, we could actually do some arithmetic. 2 lots of 10 plus 3 lots of 10 is 5 lots of 10. Or perhaps there were many more Smarties, there might be 50 Smarties in there. And again, 2 lots of 50 plus 3 lots of 50 is 5 lots of 50. This brings us now to the next important new concept for our Algebra Foundations course, the idea of substitution. If you give me an algebraic expression, such as 3m plus 5, and if you tell me what the m value is, so let's suppose the m is 2. Okay, we don't know that it's 2, but you're telling me that it's 2. So if you tell me m is 2, can I find the value of the expression? Well, yes, of course I can. I'm going to put the value in. So where the m is, I'm going to put a 2. So 3m plus 5 becomes 3 lots of 2 plus 5. And I'm going to work through this slowly. 3 lots of 2 is 6. I'm going to have to add 5. I'll do that in the next step. 6 and 5 is 11. So what we're looking at here is the idea of substitution. Here's some more. Evaluate. Oh, there's a new word. Evaluate 3m plus 6 if m is 5. Okay, 3m plus 6. All right, so where the m was, I'm going to put a 5 in. 3 times 5 plus 6. And again, I'm going to take it slowly. 3 5s are 15, so I'll write 15 plus 6. That's 21. Let's do another one. What if m was negative 2? So we put a negative 2 in. Notice I really want to use those brackets there. Otherwise, it would look like 3 subtract 2. Those brackets are important. And it becomes negative 6 plus 6 is 0. Now notice as well how many lines of working out I've taken to do these problems. I do that to minimize error. You might think it takes longer, but it actually goes faster in the long run. So you would have noticed me use the word evaluate, and that's the word we typically use when we do a substitution. Evaluate 3x plus 2 if x is 4. In which case we are going to substitute, put in the value of 4 where the x's are. Now let's contrast this with another word that we've been using, simplify. So simplify is very different. I have a long expression and I reduce it to some smaller algebra. Again, comparing, notice that in evaluate, I get a number out. In simplify, I don't get a numeric answer. I'm still just doing algebra with pronumerals. So two very different operations, evaluate and simplify. Now, something that's very important with evaluation is the order of operations. And this one is an absolute classic problem for students new to algebra. Substitute x equals 3 into 2x squared minus 1. I'm going to pause the video for a second and give you a chance to do that one. All right, 2x squared minus 1. Put the 3 in where the x is using my brackets. Now, here comes the problem. What do I do first? Multiply by 2 or square? The answer is square first. So the 3 squared becomes a 9, and that then becomes 18 subtract 1, which becomes 17. And many students will make an error with that one. They'll multiply the 2 by the 3 first, get 6, do 6 squared is 36, subtract 1 is 35. So if you've got 35, you've done the order of operations incorrectly. A very easy error to make for beginning students. Now, the nice thing with substitution is we can actually jump ahead in our course and work with more than one pronumeral. How about this one? Substitute x equals 2 and y equals -5 into 3x plus y. I think you can see how to do that one. Here's a slightly more complex one, substituted into this expression. Notice that the order is different. The y's come before the x, but that doesn't change the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to put -5 in for the y and 2 for the x. Okay, it's time to do some questions. So I'm going to put the video on pause. Here are 4 quick substitutions for you to do. Set them out in your book using the nice setting out that I've been showing you. So for the first one, we're going to put a value of x equals 2 where the x was. Notice I've taken 3 lines to do it. I'm going to really encourage you to take your time working through substitutions. Definitely in the second one, you'll want to take your time. Now for the third one, a more complex expression, we had to put 5 in where the y was and 2 in where the x was. Notice again my substitutions very carefully indicated. And for the last one, let's see if you manage to avoid the little trap. So the 5 went in for the y. We squared the 5 and got 25, and then we multiplied it by 10. And the final answer was 249. And here's the exciting news. We are more than a quarter of the way up the algebra mountain. We've actually done what are probably the most confusing and hardest parts of algebra. With this solid foundation, we're actually going to be able to rocket up the rest of this mountain surprisingly fast. It's time now to do some diagnostic quizzes to make sure that we're really well anchored in our algebra foundation. Do note we're not in a hurry. If we find after these diagnostic quizzes you haven't fully mastered the concepts, we're going to give you more time. We are not in a hurry. For those students who have mastered the foundation steps so far, we'll be giving them some slightly different work to do while the rest of us consolidate this work. And I'll see you in step 5 after we've made sure you've fully mastered steps 1 to 4.